EVs are quiet, fast, efficient, and in theory very safe. However, EVs have many hurdles left ahead before they can be considered by many. Charging infrastructure and driving range both need to improve for most people to hop on board. But most importantly, EVs need to be affordable for the masses. It doesn't look like they will be getting cheaper anytime soon. We're over at automotive news. Lithium prices hit record highs as global EV sales surge. If you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk. I talk about auto industry news. I cover mainly Japanese and Korean cars, but there are times when I cover news that of course affects the entire industry because the Japanese and Korean automakers don't live in a bubble. So if you're into that, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of my updates on the market. But today we're going to talk about why lithium is soaring, and we'll also talk about brand and dealer relationships, as well as the Subaru Crosstrek week reveal. I mean, not W-E-E-K, W-E-A-K. We're going to talk about the Crosstrek. I'm not impressed with it, but let's go back to lithium here. Lithium prices hit record highs. Global EVs sales surge. Lithium prices have more than tripled in the past year, inflating the cost of batteries used in EVs, with recent gains driven by strong demand and disruptions at a domestic producing hub. I just want to share this image with you guys because I think it gives you a pretty strong idea of what's going on in terms of the components of a battery, the minerals inside of a battery. Huge portion, the largest percentage is graphite. Graphite is not very expensive. Aluminum's a little bit more expensive than graphite under my understanding. Copper, well, copper's prices are sinking, and that is typically tied to recession. Steel hasn't been traditionally that expensive, but it's been more expensive recently thanks to the war in Ukraine and Europe. Nickel has skyrocketed in prices, and that takes up about 15-16% of the battery. And the thing is with nickel, all these manufacturers want to put more nickel than ever before with their next generation of lithium batteries and try to take out that cobalt, because you can see that cobalt in here at 4%. Cobalt is expensive, hard to get, and it is a human rights disaster to obtain it. Manganese in there as well. And just like all the other materials in the battery seemingly going up in price besides copper, lithium is skyrocketing in prices, which is going to increase battery prices significantly as well. And Chevy just teased the new Equinox EV starting at $30K. Is it going to be like that for the first year and then go up after that? I mean, look what Ford did with the F-150 Lightning. Rivian's had to jack up prices. Tesla's had to jack up prices. Everyone is boosting the heck out of their battery electric vehicle prices because all those minerals that are in the battery pack are going up. So why lithium going up so much? Lithium carbonate hit a fresh record of 500,000 yuan or $71,000 plus a ton in China on Friday. Prices have more than tripled in the past year, inflating the cost of batteries used in EVs. Meanwhile, a power crunch during August at the Sichuan province, home to more than 1/5 of China's lithium production, caused 2 weeks of electricity cuts, hampering supply of an already squeezed market. And there are concerns whether China's power crisis could return this winter when demand for heating rises, which could lead to new power shortages and hit lithium operations as well. So even though lithium is tripling in price in China, it is going to get more expensive before things get better, unfortunately. How can they get better? Well, so I bring up the US free trade agreements because with the new EV tax incentive in America, in order for vehicles to get full EV tax credit, the minerals have to be sourced from the US free trade agreement countries, and the battery packs also have to be made in Canada, USA, or Mexico. And of course, the vehicle's also made in North America as well. So that leaves China completely out of the equation if manufacturers want to have that EV tax credit for better EV adoption in the United States. And as we look at this map, there aren't that many countries that have a ton of lithium that are free trade countries. Chile has a lot. Argentina has more though, and Argentina is not on the list. Australia has lots of minerals, so that's a good thing. Indonesia is not on this list, but they are getting mined and selling their soul to get mined by China, Japanese, pretty much anyone who has money can open up shop in Indonesia right now and strip the beautiful landscape there of their precious metals. It's been going on for a long time, but they do have a lot of land. They have a lot of natural resources, and that's going to be a huge mineral hub for a lot of time to come for these manufacturers, but it's not going to directly impact the United States market in theory. It's up to the manufacturers to decide, hey, do we go out of our way to source our materials from these countries? Do we go out of our way make sure battery electric vehicle production is in North America just so we can get this tax credit. So it's like, do we spend all this extra money to get this tax credit, or do we source from anywhere to make our costs as cheap as possible and avoid the tax credit? But which way is best? I don't know. These companies have lots of money to figure out which way is best to spend their money and invest their money in order to make the most money. With the EV tax credit, in theory, it's all to reduce our dependence on China and to bring more manufacturing here in North America. And that makes sense to me. But man, in the meantime, before all the sourcing changes and manufacturing changes from China, battery electric vehicles are seemingly going to get a lot more expensive in the near term, and there are no more tax credits that are going to help the situation for EV adoption. So what are your guys' thoughts? I don't have anything more to say on it. It's just fun to watch this craziness go on with the entire world, regardless of what industry you're in, because the whole world is going through some crazy times. Hold tight, guys. Hold strong. We'll make it through better than ever. But we're going to move on. Honda brand dinged by dealers in NADA survey for the scant product availability. So Honda, we know they're down more than any other manufacturer in North America, not due to demand, but due to production. So they haven't been able to sell vehicles, and the dealerships are pretty much pissed off at Honda because the dealerships aren't able to make money the way they would like to. They don't have the volume to sell. So that's why there are crazy markups on Honda vehicles. They have to make ends meet. So if you don't have the volume, you got to make it up with the price tag for those dealerships. Honda has slipped from 3rd last year to 6th this year. Lexus, Toyota, typically number 1 and number 2. Not really a surprise based off of my dealings and my experience in the companies. BMW and Porsche in there as well. Subaru, surprisingly, is still in the top 5 because Subaru has had a rough couple years with production volume. And we're going to talk about that Crosstrek here in a little bit. Kia is up there as the only Korean manufacturer. Genesis, Hyundai, not in there. Mercedes-Benz up there as well. So the Germans and the Japanese typically are very, very high with dealer relations and the manufacturers. Mazda in the top 10 as well. Nissan is not in there at all for Japanese manufacturer, but it looks like the rest of them are. But notice there's no Acura in here. And there is no Infinity either. What are your thoughts on Honda's relationship with their dealers going south? It'll get better once they have volume, but when is that going to be is the question. And a world premiere of the all-new Subaru Crosstrek. It hardly looks different at all. I mean, looking at this rear shot, it looks maybe a little bit like the new WRX with these haunches over the rear wheels. It's on the Subaru global platform like many other vehicles like the Crosstrek before it as well. So, I mean, unique lights, different grille. Doesn't look that much different. I wouldn't look twice if I saw this new Crosstrek on the street. I just think it's the current Crosstrek. But maybe that's just my own ignorance. I'm not quite sure. Subaru didn't announce anything other than it's no longer going to be called the XV in Japan. It'll be called Crosstrek everywhere. It'll have new eyesight technology with a wide-angle mono camera, so better safety. It's got the large tablet touchscreen in there now, the 11-inch touchscreen. And the new Crosstrek will be first introduced in Japan, scheduled for 2023 or later. It could be released in 2024. They're releasing this in late 2022. Oh, it's not even that late in 2022, right? It's not even October yet. And so we have no information on powertrains, pricing, availability, packaging, anything like that. We have to assume that we'll get some sort of hybrid variant. The e-Boxer, the 2-liter that we don't get here stateside, will be the only powertrain for Japan. Who knows if it's going to make it in the same form here stateside. We don't know if the manual transmission will stick around. There's a lot of unknowns with this Crosstrek, and I guess that's what happens when you do a reveal a year before it's announced, or a year before its availability in Japan, and it'll be available elsewhere afterwards. This vehicle is built in Japan. It doesn't surprise me that Japan would be the first market for it, but I just don't know what to think about the Crosstrek. I'm sure I put some B-roll in there for you guys, but there's nothing in here for me to get excited about. So yes, what would I like to see? I'd like to see a Wilderness Edition. I would like to see more availability on hybrid. Maybe a standard hybrid would be badass for the American market. Availability for a plug-in hybrid as well would be cool. We'll see if Subaru does, but we might be waiting a year and a half to see what they do. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's session, hit the like button, subscribe for more Japanese Korean auto news and some industry news along the way as well. Take care of yourselves and peace out.